On this channel, we talk quite frequently about the profound sickness of the general public. Not just the American public or the Canadian public or the Japanese public or the Russian public or the Chinese or North Korean public, but just the general public of humanity in pretty much every society. And we know, historically speaking, that the majority is usually wrong. And by wrong, I mean way wrong, to the point where you've got a guy like Stanley Milgram coming up with the Milgram experiment, where he showed that most people will just submit to someone they perceive to be an authority, to the point where 65% of them and up will actually deliver a fatal blow. In the case of the Milgram experiment, a fatal 480 volt shock 3 separate times, simply for getting a wrong answer when the authority or the perceived authority said, no, we need to proceed with this test. This is just what we do. We're just following orders. Just fall in line. 65% and up of most people who are typically, generally speaking, good people will just follow the orders of somebody they perceive to be authority. And then Stockholm syndrome kicks in, and now you've got people who have an affinity for their captors and tyrants and oppressors. They will rise to defend them. And that's what you see in social media post after social media post. When an absolute tyrant, whether you're talking about a judge, a politician, or a law enforcer, commits tyranny on a fellow member of the public, in our case, fellow Americans or fellow Canadians or whatever, you have a whole lot of people saying, well, you shouldn't have disobeyed their orders. You should have just complied. If you just fell in line like the rest of us, you wouldn't have been facing those problems. And yet we see in history book after history book of society after society that when you continue to just comply without answering or asking questions, you tiptoe down the totalitarian path. So yeah, it's no measure of good mental health to be considered well adjusted to a profoundly sick society. And we truly have a profoundly sick society. You remember this guy? This is Corey Harris. A lot of people made fun of him last week because he appeared on a Zoom call in a court conducted by Judge J. Cedric Simpson from the Washtenaw County District Court System, driving, when the whole issue before Judge Cedric Simpson was that this guy had a revoked driver's license. He had a suspended driver's license.
Mr. Harris, are you driving?
Actually, I'm pulling into my doctor's office, actually. So just give me 1 second. I'm parking right now.
I don't even know why he would do that. You stationary?
I'm pulling in right now at this second. Yes, I am.
So maybe I don't understand something. This is a driving while license suspended?
That is correct, Your Honor.
And he was just driving and he didn't have a license.
Oh.
He's suspended and he's just driving.
That is correct, Your Honor.
Hello?
I don't even know why he would do that. So defendant's bond is revoked in this matter. Defendant is to turn himself into the Washtenaw County Jail by 6 p.m. today. Failure to turn himself in will result in a bench warrant with no bond.
Well, it turns out that this guy didn't have a suspended driver's license, but that there was a clerical error. And even besides that, Cedric Simpson placed this guy into a cage simply because Cedric Simpson believed that he didn't pay his registration. He's willing to sacrifice a life and suspend the freedom of that life because he didn't pay the registration tax required by his county or his city. Says Harris, the illegal driver, claimed that he was on the road due to a family emergency and trying to get help for his wife, leading to this awkward moment in court. What was I thinking? I was thinking about getting my wife medical help. Whether this is true or not, nobody should have to explain for themselves when there was an error that was made on the clerical side of some government entity. And even if all that stuff was out of the way, there's no reason, as I said in the video where I covered this while everybody else is mocking Corey Harris, there's no reason to put this guy in a cage. Under any sane system, We have an insane system run by corrupt state functionaries who are getting sponsored by and who are getting funded by, who are getting paychecks cut by the American tax cattle. And that's the insult to injury right there. That's what I was thinking, Harris said. I wasn't thinking about the fact that I got a suspended license. I don't care about all that. Frickin' man, there's more important things in life to deal with. Harris said he should never have been charged with driving on a suspended license last fall, attributing the mix-up to Saginaw friend of the court. Quote, they were supposed to have lifted it 2 years ago, but they didn't. According to Secretary of State records, Harris' license was first suspended in 2010 due to unpaid child support in Saginaw County. Court documents from 2022 indicate that a judge did lift the suspension, permitting Harris to drive again. And there's the terminology that keeps us enslaved. So a state functionary permitted Harris to use the public roadways for his own private purposes? Who does that put in the driver's seat? That puts the judge in the driver's seat and you and I as nothing more and nothing less than subjects. Are you a subject or are you a free man or woman? However, the paperwork never reached the Secretary of State's office, and as a result, Harris' license remains officially suspended. He said he went back to the Secretary of State's office last week to try to clear up the confusion and says he'd learned a hard lesson from the entire ordeal. Harris said, always double check behind these workers because they will say that they will do something and they don't do it. Many on social media react to the revelation about the status of Harris's license, and this person right here says the world owes him an apology. It's concerning how administrative errors can have such significant consequences. You know what I say? I say it's worse than that. It's concerning how people look at administrators as though they're kings and rulers over the rest of us, and we all better fall in line, pay our taxes, get registered, and pay attention to the permission granted to us by the state. Because if they don't give you permission to drive, then guess what? You can't drive. That's what people are saying here. That's the long and the short of it. And now I want to show you the tyrannical actions of this Judge Simpson. Listen to this.
What's your name?
Chloe Whitsitt.
Okay. And you're intending upon representing yourself in this matter?
At this time, yes, Your Honor, I am. I am dismissing the court-appointed attorney at this time, yes.
Okay. What's going on?
Until my family and I decide what law firm we are going to choose, I will be representing myself.
Okay. All right. So you need time to seek a attorney?
Well, not really, but I have a request at this time as I am representing myself.
Well, not until such time as I relieve Mr. Drukas.
Okay, thank you.
That's what I'm trying. I have not done so.
Okay.
So I'm trying to figure out what the issue is and what you're intending upon doing.
Dismissing the court-appointed attorney and representing myself.
Okay.
I'm sorry. At this time, I can't make it any clearer, and I don't understand.
You're not making it very clear to me at all.
Okay.
You're not listening.
I'm
Just
confused.
talking.
It's crystal clear. The reason he can't or won't understand it is he's been immersed in the same indoctrination program that you and I have been immersed in. Hey, you don't talk to the judge like this, and he will act out against somebody just asking questions, just deciding to stand on their rights, and just desiring to represent themselves instead of using a court-appointed attorney. Watch how tyrannical this guy gets.
Are you going to hire an attorney?
Yes.
Or are you going to represent yourself?
Today, Your Honor, I'm going to represent myself. If my request is denied by you, then I will be hiring an attorney. I can't make it any clearer than that.
Judges don't like to be talked to like
So
that.
so if I relieve Mr. Drukas, you're going to represent yourself.
Yes, sir.
So if they set it for a preliminary examination, you're ready to go?
This is I'm representing myself today. I don't know what all happens today, but I'm talking to the judge without the court-appointed attorney.
No.
Okay, well, I don't.
Don't listen. You don't Don't you dare just lean on my podium and pretend like that. Not here.
My podium. It's his podium. Did he pay for that podium? Is that really his courtroom, or is that the people's courtroom? This shows you that these judges know in their own hearts and by their actions, they don't represent you. They're not there for peace. They're not there for justice. They're not there for equity. What they are there for is to exercise their own will over the subjects and not treat you as a master as he should treat you. I mean, this guy is literally supposed to be a public servant acting like a privately corporate funded and owned master. Watch him get offended. Look at his face.
Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pass the matter because if you come back up and start banging your nails on that podium, you're going to be going with Mr. Allen. You may have a seat.
You're going to be going with Mr. Allen. In other words, you're going to go with the guy with the gun, and you're going to go to jail. I'm going to put your physical body into a box, and there's nothing you can do about it simply because he got offended. This woman literally did nothing wrong in that room, but this guy is going to let his tyrannical fangs show. And the people applaud it. That's why I say it's no measure of good mental health to be considered well-adjusted to a profoundly sick society. These are the rulers. These are the authorities. These are the officials of our profoundly sick society. This is how bad it is. And the guys like this, Honorable J. Cedric Simpson, are honored and applauded, and people have scores and scores of accolades in the comments section under these social media posts that feature him.
Don't shake your head at me. Oh,
Look at this.
Oh. Mr. Allen, might want to have a conversation with her and tell her that she better check herself before she comes back up here.
He wants you to know
Thank you, Mr. Durkin.
that he is in control. It's his podium. It's his courtroom.
Hey, so who wants to go next? Christian Philippe. Recall.
This right here is part 2. She got a good talking to, and now she's going to toe the line. Now she's going to bow down. Now she's going to lick the boot, because if she doesn't, then her fate gets dramatically and negatively altered by the guy who owns the cards. And for the most part, the reason there's nothing you can do about it and that I can do about it is not because there are authoritarian psychopaths, because there are very few of them. It's because most of the slave class won't stand up against the psychopathy of the authoritarian, tyrannical psychopaths.
Case, People versus Whitsett.
This is the same
Edward
woman.
Drucas on behalf of Chloe Whitsett.
Now watch her change of tune here. She got a talking to. She got threatened by the court, and this is the outcome.
Your name.
Lucinda.
Apologies on behalf of my client for earlier. I did have an opportunity to speak with her during that break and go over the process of where we are, what's going on right now. She did tell me that she would like to obtain a new attorney. So in the meantime, I can assist her with getting a copy of the discovery, getting a copy of the videos, which I don't have yet. I was going to be asking for an adjournment today to obtain those. So ultimately, I'd be asking for at least a 2-week adjournment. And I talked to her about her behavior in court, and I think that she has an understanding of that and will abide by anything the court orders her to do. So with that, I'd be asking for an adjournment of today's hearing.
Is all of that correct, Ms. Whitsett?
Watch this. They love to see you grovel. They love to see you apologize at the feet of the judge.
Your Honor, I would like to apologize. I had complete zero understanding. But yes, that is correct.
Ms. Whitsett, let me tell you something.
Let me tell you something, girl. I'm in control. This is my courtroom.
I should have locked you up.
Should have thrown you into a cage.
You're lucky that I just took a deep breath and said, I don't know what's going on. I'm just asking her questions.
You're lucky that I chose to use my power in a benevolent way. You're lucky I'm a good guy. You're lucky I decided to have mercy override justice because justice demands that you be locked up. You're lucky, Miss Whitsitt.
And you come in here, I don't think we've ever seen each other. And you just come in here disrespecting me in this court. And I'm going to tell you something else.
Oh,
That
boy.
man standing beside you right now,
It's like a parent talking to a child. It's very shameful. It's dehumanizing. It's demoralizing. It's threatening. Some would argue it's terroristic. Taking somebody through emotional turmoil, letting you know that they're in control and they got the power to determine your fate. Tell me that's not psychologically messed up. Tell me that's not going to psychologically mess somebody up.
it's the only thing that saved you from going to jail. I had pretty much made up my mind that when I came back out here because of what you had done, you were gone.
There's a lot of silence at this point right here. He just wants to let it sink in that he is the king and he's in control. This is his courtroom.
So while you may not want him representing you, he just saved you.
This is more silence. He wants her to look down. He wants her to grovel. He wants her to think about his words and that he's in control and he's the king. This is his castle, his podium.
But remember one other thing. The funny thing about judges, we have exceedingly long memories. You come in here acting like that on the next day, I'm not even going to ask any questions. You are just going to go.
Gonna go to jail.
Are we clear?
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh, he loves the power. If that is not tripping on your own power, there's no such thing as tripping on your own power. This guy loves that power, and he shows that he loves that power. It's embarrassing that humanity, specifically us in America, are going to tolerate this kind of behavior on any one of our fellow Americans in violation of their clear natural rights. No reason for this. You're not talking to a murderer. You're not talking to somebody who is a serial rapist. You're talking to a fellow human being, Cedric. Who the hell do you think you are? It is no measure of good mental health to be considered well adjusted to a profoundly sick society. What did Samuel Adams say? No people will tamely surrender their liberties, nor can any be easily subdued when knowledge is diffused and virtue is preserved. On the contrary, when people are universally ignorant and debauched in their manners, they will sink under their own weight without the aid of foreign invaders. The reason we're going down is not because we have foreign invaders like Cedric among us and many others, but I'll tell you what, we outnumber them. It's because we have a whole lot of people who have been immersed in the 15,000-hour indoctrination program thinking that we need to obey the authorities because that's what good little boys and good little girls in America do. And you're not good if you don't submit to the authority. If you guys get something out of these commentary videos and you want to help this channel, subscribe, hit the bell notification icon, give it a thumbs up, share it with everybody you know. Grab a hard-hitting conversation starting design from the store, become a channel member, but more importantly, do yourself a favor. Do your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren, your community a favor. Know what your rights are, stand for those rights, and refuse to tolerate one nanoparticle of tyranny in our land. I'll see you in the next video.